Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Inflation, shortages. Can you still stock up on food? And the answer is yes. You can still find available food items that you can add to your stockpile, your prepper pantry, and your food storage stockpile so that you're going to have enough food no matter what the future holds. We know that people are losing their jobs, prices are going up, there are shortages of some things. I just read this morning that there is a 30% increase in requests for food at food banks, which tells us that critical needs are not being met for some of our families. And so we want to make sure that we can provide for our own family. You don't want to be at the end of the line trying to get food at a food bank when you have the opportunity to add some food to your stockpile now. Let's think of it strategically. Don't just buy anything. Don't buy foods you wouldn't eat, but think about the foods that you do eat. Even if it's not your favorite food, it's something that you know how to prepare a meal. Lots of us would rather eat the freshest food every single day, but what if that's not possible? In the wintertime, you can't really grow your own. Farmers markets aren't going to be available always, and so you may not be able to rely on the freshest food at your grocery store. Plus, as tariffs are coming into play, the price of imported food, which is a lot of the fresh produce, those prices are going to go up. It's just a reality of the way economy works. But we can get ready for hard times that could be ahead, and we can buy foods and add to our stockpile. Let me show you some simple ideas of foods that you could add to your stockpile that are inexpensive and could easily be turned into quick and easy filling meals. They won't be the best meal you ever ate, but if every meal was the best you ever ate, how would you know when something was really delicious? How about a can of beef stew? It may not be your favorite, but you can certainly jazz it up. You could add in a can of mixed vegetables. You could add in a can of diced potatoes. Something to notice about mixed vegetables, sometimes they're called mixed vegetables, sometimes they're mixed vegetable medley. One of those has potatoes in it, so you would already be adding more potatoes. So pay attention when you're buying them if potatoes is something you want or don't want. But if you don't have the potatoes, you could add a can of potatoes into your beef stew. Another thing you could do with your beef stew, make a package of instant mashed potatoes and serve it over that. You could also serve it over noodles or rice, but I don't think that's nearly as good as over mashed potatoes. But see how there are options? With a single can of food, you are adding a meal into your prepper pantry. That's how I look at it. Every can of food that I buy, I have another meal for the future. Future me says thank you. And then if you add some of the other foods, think about how you're going to use them as you purchase them. And that gives you ways to make meals, and you aren't just staring at your pantry wondering, what do I do with this food? What about a can of chili? Chili can last for a long time in your pantry, and it can be versatile too. You can eat it just as it is, or maybe you want to cook up some macaroni and make some chili mac. You might even find that you have a can of, say, a nacho cheese sauce. You could add that into it. And with these three items, you can make quite a bit of food, don't you think? What about a can of chicken a la king? I like chicken a la king with egg noodles. You could also serve it over rice. If you don't have either of those, maybe you have some bread. You could toast it up, cut it into little triangles, have toast points, serve your chicken a la king over toast points. There's a lot of ways that you can make this into a nice filling meal. And remember, when we had our mixed vegetables, you could add the vegetables into the chicken a la king also. Or maybe serve it with a side of green beans. What are the vegetables that you like? Have those in your prepper pantry. A can of ravioli can be a quick and easy meal. Sometimes I stir it together with a can of vegetable soup and make a ravioli soup, and that's good and filling. It feeds more people also. Have a variety of canned beans, pinto beans, white beans, black beans, kidney beans, red beans. There's so many different kinds. You can also look for varieties of prepared beans such as refried beans, baked beans, ranch beans. They're all different kinds, different flavor profiles, and it helps you have variety in your meals. So even if you're just having beans and rice, it's not going to taste the same every day if you have a variety. It's nice to have dried beans, but you then need to soak them and cook them. You need water, power, time. So having canned beans gives you the versatility to get a meal on the table in a hurry. Take your can of refried beans, smear it onto some tortillas, add some cheese if you have it, chopped onion, maybe lettuce and tomato, make some bean burritos, make some soft tacos. There's a lot of ways that you can use refried beans. I think they're good, so let us know how you prefer to use them. What's quick and easy for you? Do you have a can of tomatoes? You can turn a can of tomatoes into a pasta sauce. Add some seasonings, tomato paste if you have it, and then if you have some kind of pasta noodles, you can turn that into a meal. Something else to think about is I have some sloppy Joe mix. You might also find manwich sauce, and that is great if you have some ground beef. You can serve it up, put it on buns over rice, mashed potatoes, pasta. But if you don't have beef or meat that you could add to this, try making it into a pasta sauce. Use the foods you have. Will it be the best pasta you ever had? I don't know. I'm thinking about trying it. It could be perfectly delicious even without the meat. I've also made sloppy joes using cooked lentils, and that works very nice too. So have dried lentils in with your dried beans. You can also find them in a can, so then they're already prepared. You can just open them up and add them into soup, stews, sloppy joes. Look at the variety of foods that you have and have ideas in your head how you could put them together to make a meal. Don't be afraid to try something new in a can. Look at this pozole, which is like a pork stew, and it's already prepared in a can. It's going to have a much different profile from any of the other foods that I have. When you see something like this though, buy one, take it home and try it. If you don't like it, then it's just been one experience of experimenting with food. And if you do like it, go back and get more. But you don't want to stock up on something that you don't know if you like it or how you're going to use it, because that's a waste not only of your food dollars, but of your storage space when you could be storing food that you want to eat. If you have foods in there that are languishing, that you don't know what they are, you don't remember why you bought them, and you don't really care to eat it, maybe it's time to figure out how to use it up, or donate it to something like a food bank if it still has, it's within the best by, use by, sell by date. Food banks won't take foods that are past those dates anymore. They used to. And I think if I'm still willing to eat them, I think people that are asking for a handout should eat them for free as well. But that isn't how the system works anymore. So look over your food. If you have something, you're not sure why you have it, put it together with something else that you have and try making a meal and getting it out of your pantry. And if it's past the date, go ahead and look it over. Does everything look okay? Does the can still look solid? Nothing is leaking or bulging? Nothing looks weird? Go ahead and open it. If it spurts, throw it out. If it doesn't, go ahead and look. Does it still look okay? Does it smell okay? Is the texture right? The color right? And then you can probably go ahead and taste it and see if it's fine. Most of the time, your food is going to be fine, but sometimes you'll know right away that it isn't. So lots of foods will store long past the date, but not always, so don't just count on it and depend on it. Check it out before you throw it out. What are some foods that require a little bit of cooking? Maybe you have some macaroni and cheese. I have made the Kraft macaroni and cheese with just boiling the water, putting in the powder, leaving a little bit of the boiled water into the drained noodles, and it tasted perfectly fine, even if I didn't have butter or milk. So don't be afraid if you don't have all of the ingredients that are required to go ahead and try it and check it out. Then you can also go into your pantry. Maybe you want to add some chili into your mac and cheese. Maybe you want to add some canned tomatoes into your mac and cheese. Maybe you have a can of tuna or something else that you like. There's a lot of ways that you can jazz up your mac and cheese. It's easy to have on hand, simple to prepare, and yeah, go ahead, leave it in the comments below. What are some of the favorite ways that you serve mac and cheese so we can get new meal ideas from each other? Well, it's nice to have basic rice. Something you might want to have to go with that basic rice are some different kinds of seasonings and bouillons. You can change the flavor profile of just plain rice. You can also stir in some beans. Maybe you can stir in some chili or a can of soup. Look over ways to make your rice more interesting so that you're incorporating inexpensive foods into your meal plan so that you're not only using the foods that you've stored, but you're rotating them, and then be sure that you replace them. Look over all the different spices and bouillons in the store. You can find beef, chicken, vegetable bouillons and broths. You can find everything from garlic powder, onion powder, all the way up to, this is one of my favorites, is that everything bagel. You can sprinkle it all over pasta. You can sprinkle it into salads and of course onto bagels, but it can really jazz up something that doesn't taste very exciting. I put a sprinkle of this on vegetables and all kinds of things, and it makes it more delicious and yummy. Look through your store for already packaged flavorful rices and pastas. You can find Knorr, you can find pastaroni, different kinds of packets of easy to prepare food. You just need to boil water, maybe add a little butter or milk. And if you don't have that, some of them are just going to be fine anyway. So go ahead and look them over, because I have, for example, beef stroganoff. I could add some green beans with it, maybe a can of meat. Maybe I have some meat in my freezer and I can turn it into a meal. I have a Spanish rice. There's all kinds of ways to turn Spanish rice into a yummy meal. You can add canned tomatoes, you can add canned meat, you can add beans, chicken, all kinds of things, and make it bigger, more flavorful meal. And then of course, a creamy chicken, add a can of chicken into it for a bigger, better meal. And you have not a lot of extra money to turn this into a meal. Open a can of vegetables and you are ready to go to serve dinner to more than just yourself. Think about the longest lasting foods. Pasta is one of them. It's cheap and easy to prepare. It's fun to find different interesting shapes, and you just need to pay attention to the amount of time that they need to cook. So these are a good way to add a little bit of variety into your food storage rather than just long spaghetti noodles. The problem is you can't just store pasta in a cardboard box or in a cellophane bag. You need to put it into an airtight container. And that's what happens when you're buying, say, interesting shapes compared to a box of, say, long noodles like spaghetti. These take up a lot more space in your cabinet and in a jar, but they're fun to have. So if space is an issue, stick with the long straight noodles. You can break these in half, put them into a clean canning jar, put on a tight fitting lid. This box, you're going to need a couple of jars simply because each little noodle has a lot of airspace within it where these do not. So if space is a problem and a premium, then stick with long noodles. But if you have the time and variety and space, check it out. Get some interesting pastas. But don't just store them in the box. They're not going to last. Canned chicken is my favorite. It's most versatile. That's why I have lots of it. But you can go down the canned meat aisle and look it over. There's going to be everything from tuna to chicken to beef, pork, and even Spam. So find the meats that you like. Choose the ones that fit into your budget. And remember, every can you bring home is going to be more food in the future. And canned meat is probably the canned food that lasts the longest. It just simply lasts and lasts. It's great. And if you check the dates on it, it usually even has a farther out date than something like canned vegetables. And something that I don't store a lot of in cans is fruit, simply because I've had a lot of those explode and not keep lasting. So I've been buying dried fruit. That's a little more expensive than buying it in a can. However, you can have it last longer and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and each package is like several cans worth of food. So let us know, what are the canned foods that you are buying? How are you planning meals with them? Do you feel like you're going to be able to provide for your family even though inflation and shortages are looming on the horizon? We know that there are seasons in life that we go through where we have more challenges, and so that's what we're prepping for. You could lose your job. Your paycheck could be short because you didn't get enough hours. Maybe there's an unexpected bill, like I just had to have a plumber come to my house, and so I had an unexpected bill. But what makes it then nice is that even though I had to spend that money out of my emergency fund, I still have food in my pantry, so I don't have to go buy more food, worry about how I'm going to eat tomorrow. I have meals that I can make out of my pantry. And that's what I want for you as well, that you have the confidence that we all have challenges and we'll get through them by preparing. So pay off your bills, save up an emergency fund, stack some food so that you can make meals no matter what the day brings. Well, yeah. This one said, show me again. I hope you'll like my video, share it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.